So we got a little bit of a struggle snuggle on Xitter right now between the right-wing base. It's kind of weird because usually the infighting was either between the right and the left or within the left itself. You had the far leftists, the AOC, the Squad, versus the business Democrats. But now it seems that a lot of businesses have joined the MAGA movement, and so the struggle snuggle continues on our side of the fence. And I will make an entire video dedicated on what's going on and going more in depth into the philosophy behind it and why it's happening and what I think the future is going to be. But before I do that, I want to talk about some current events. You see, a lot of people were worried about censorship. Now, when I made my video about this topic yesterday, there was no censorship at the time. And I actually admired that. I said, wow, like Elon seems to keep his word. Because when it comes to censorship on Twitter, I'm not going to be irrational. Like, I know that censorship exists. And I know that there are some cases where Elon has to censor. Like, for instance, if a world government tells Xitter, hey, you need to censor this shit, and makes an official statement, then obviously Elon is going to censor because he's not going to ban Xitter from India, for instance, right? Like, he's going to comply if the request is done formally and above the table. He didn't like it when Brazil did it under the table, and they were trying to pretend that the censorship is coming from him. That's where he drew the line. But yeah, like if a world government asks, I get it. If the ADL pressures Xitter and is like, okay, you either censor or we take away your advertisement, and they do this above board, that people know where to take their beef with, right? But for some reason, I noticed that that's not how it works. Like the public, instead of going after the NGOs that are pressuring the censorship, they're going after Elon, which I find very bizarre. It's like, why don't you go to the root of the problem? Like, even if Elon steps down tomorrow, the root of the problem exists. So, like, the criticism should be levied towards the organizations that are pushing for the censorship, rather than the people that are getting financially bullied and intimidated in the public spotlight. So when it comes to these two types of censorships, right, like an NGO pressured Twitter or a payment processor or a world government, yeah, I kind of get it. Like, it is what it is. But when it comes to political ideology, like people have some political takes and they get censored, especially if there's no NGO pressuring, if there's no government, they're not asking for violence, there's like just like a political opinion and you're censoring, then I think that's the line. And I think the line may have been crossed on Xitter. Yesterday, there were a couple of accounts that criticized Elon. And I made a video, I highlighted them. Today, those accounts don't exist. Now, to be fair, it's just two accounts that I know of. And some people are saying, no. Look, it's not that Elon banned them. The users have closed down their accounts. I can't fact check this. I mean, I genuinely do not know if that's the case or not, because it could be possible, right? Like, the conversation was over the H-1B visas, and Elon Musk, being a tech bro, he wants more of these visas, and he's in favor of this type of immigration, while people that are from MAGA are against it. And so a couple of accounts were talking about how, look, my son, he finished university, he got great grades, and he can't get to an interview. And he managed to ratio Elon with that take. Now, the reason he may have closed the account is like, okay, well, maybe he was getting too much attention, right? Because usually what happens is, like, on the internet, if you're a nobody, you can be a cheeky little shit. You can have, like, a hateful meme here or there. But the moment you start getting attention, the moment the spotlight is on you, a lot of people start digging through your shit. And chances are that people may find something, and eventually you may get into trouble with your boss, right? So people don't want that hassle. So is it possible that the guy deleted his account because he didn't want the attention? Yeah. All right. So I didn't know if he got banned or not. I mean, Xitter could genuinely make it so that it seems as if his account was closed down by themselves, right? Like, how would he prove that that wasn't the case? But this morning I saw something, and this is legitimately concerning. Laura Loomer is coming up, and she's pointing out how her blue check mark was removed for her support in against the H-1B visas, and she considers this is the replacement of American tech workers by Indian immigrants, blah blah blah. So this was like her opinion, and for her opinion, she actually got her blue check mark removed, and apparently they also took away her subscriptions. Now, I want to point out that this is how the censorship started on Twitter. For those of you who don't remember, Twitter used to be advocated as the free speech platform under Jack Dorsey. Like, Jack Dorsey, the CEO, tweeted that Twitter is the free speech platform. And this was back, I think, 2012. Like, it's ancient history. But he tweeted that. And then things happened. Donald Trump won the elections. And the first thing that they did was to remove the blue check mark of Milo Yiannopoulos. Like, that was like the first censorship thing that Twitter did. Like, this was at a time where you could do almost anything you wanted. Like, if you threatened for violence, they wouldn't remove you, but you could get a knock on the door from the police, right? Because, like, the law was getting involved. But, like, the platform TOS wasn't about keeping people safe. Like, the idea of a trusted safety council didn't even exist at the time. No, like, Twitter was the marketplace of idea, good or bad. You know, just like you have good and bad people in the real world, so too must they be represented on Twitter. And so when the blue checkmark was removed, people were dismayed by it. It was like, well, hold on, like, the blue checkmark is a verification badge, right? Like, the company is saying that this is the Milo Yiannopoulos. Why are you removing it? And they were removing it to punish him. They were removing it to show him that what he is talking about is unacceptable. And I think he was talking against feminism or something. He wasn't issuing death threats or anything like that. He was just being a cheeky little shit. A provocateur. Provocateur, as the US likes to say. I prefer cheeky little shit. It's a lot more descriptive. But anyway, after that, things escalated. And eventually, Milo gets banned. And then people start getting banned. And then things escalate even further to the point where if you share the Hunter Biden laptop story, you would get banned. If you tell a journalist to learn to code, you would get banned. And I hope that this is not what's happening with Twitter. Like, you have a person like Laura Loomer. She's got a take that Elon doesn't like. And so her checkmark is being taken away. The interesting thing, though, is the announcement, right? Like, Laura Loomer has deactivated subscriptions. So it's viewed as if she did it herself. Is this a psyop from Laura Loomer to try to convince people that Elon Musk is bad? And she removed it herself in order to say, oh, look what Twitter is doing to me. Plausible? Yes. Probable? I don't think so. Well, we'll see, like, how many more people are affected by this. Right? Because if it's just Laura Loomer, if it's like just one person, then yeah, I mean, it may stand to reason that in order to do activism, they decided to remove their subscriptions. But if it's more people, then the plausibility of this being the case becomes highly unlikely. Unfortunately, you know, at the end of the day, Xitter is still right now the place where right-wingers experience the most free speech. And the place where you can upload most of the stuff. Like, if you compare Xitter's TOS with other platforms, other platforms are far more censorious. But hopefully, this is not a sign of things to come. If every single time people disagree with Elon and they ratio him, they get punished, then I guess it's going to be back to the Jack Dorsey's Twitter, which, you know, was still usable, but unsatisfactory, except that now a lot of communities and artists and people have left to other places. Either they stopped using social media, or they went to Blue Sky, or whatever the fuck. So hopefully Elon is going to decide against this approach. It may not even be Elon. You know, like I keep saying Elon as if he's the only guy at Twitter. It may be the moderation team. Like it may actually be people within the moderation team that decided to mess with activists due to the nature of the grievance. Like this time around, the grievance is one way, and the people that are at the trust and safety, they have certain in-group preferences, certain political leanings that disagree, and so they allowed their emotions to get the better of them, which is, by the way, something that happened. Like there was a person working at Twitter that was shaming white people, and Elon said, oh, he's a troll, but he got over the line this time. Interesting. I'll see you guys in the comment section, and I'll probably make a more in-depth analysis tomorrow. Take care.